morning, everyone. Good morning, Adam. Thank you for that great introduction. And I just want to welcome everyone into this space. We're really excited to be able to present this panel discussion for you today. We have some amazing panelists, and I'm going to introduce them to you a little bit later. But just some housekeeping. We are going to be recording this conversation. So if you do not wish to be recorded or on camera, then you do have the opportunity to either opt out of the discussion or to cut your camera off so that your face is not shown when people play back the recording. All right. So I'm going to kick it over to my colleague, Dagmar, who is going to give everyone an intro about NJSAC.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I know most of you know who we are, but just in case, here's a short overview of what we do as a statewide network for New Jersey's after-school communities. Adam, if we could move on to the next slide, please. All right. At NJSACC, we promote, support, and advocate for development, continuity, and expansion of out-of-school time programs. Next slide, please, Adam. We work to build a strong network for school-age program professionals and staff in New Jersey. We provide training, conferences, workshops, and information services. We offer technical assistance and support for the development, expansion, and improvement of school-age programs throughout New Jersey. We maintain close relationships with state and local officials to define appropriate New Jersey state regulations and legislation for school-age care. We are happy to share high-quality resources, updates, and information related to school-age care. And finally, we help develop public awareness of after-school issues. Back to you, Ty, to continue our introductions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dagmar. All right. So it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce our panelists today. They pretty much run the gamut on the different types of programs that are reflective of our state of New Jersey and all the different types of programs that we really have throughout the state. So I'm going to start first with Brian Little. Brian is the Chief Strategy Officer / the 21st Century Community Learning Center Program Director. And Brian actually works for the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City, which is a community-based organization, but they also are 21st Century. So Brian was born and raised in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He has kept busy year-round in sports in the Atlantic City Youth Leagues. He has a passion for sports, and he has turned his love for football. And eventually, he had a college scholarship in order to attend and play football for the University of Delaware. There's someone else that we know, right? That went to the University of Delaware. Someone that's going to be very famous or already is famous. After graduating with a BS in business administration and concentrating in marketing, Brian began his professional career in public relations, marketing, and advertising industry. He has worked for some of the biggest names, including HBO and pay-per-view for their sporting and boxing events. Following that 10-year professional stint of travel and promotion, he actually decided to return back to his hometown roots and help the youth of Atlantic City in order to find their own paths to success. I know a lot of us can relate to that type of story. Throughout his life and career and accomplishments, there has never been a greater feeling than what he is doing now in order to make a difference in the lives of those that need him most. And his current role at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Atlantic City allows him to give back to the people of the community and Atlantic City. And for Brian, he feels like he's living the dream. So everybody just give Brian some virtual thumbs up or some virtual hand claps, please, for me, for Brian Little. And next up, we have Kristen Boyd. Kristen Boyd runs two different types of programs. She runs school-based programming out of Egg Harbor Township that is 21st Century, but she also runs their before and after care program that is a district-run program that accepts subsidy. So again, two different types of styles, two different types of programs that she runs within one unit. So Kristen is a graduate of Oak Crest High School in Atlantic County, New Jersey, but a product of the Atlantic City Public School District. After high school, she attended college off and on, but did not settle on a degree field until later in life. After graduating from Stockton University with an undergraduate degree in sociology and working at a family success center located in Atlantic City Public Schools, she pursued her master's degree in education with a concentration in curriculum, instruction, and at the encouragement of her mentors, Mrs. Rosalind Norrell Nance and Mrs. Mattia Latkins. Kristen has worked for the last 15 years as both a program coordinator and a project director for various school districts, and she is now the director of extended enrichment K through 5 for the Egg Harbor Township School District, which is the largest district in Atlantic County, New Jersey. Just have to put that out there. While working in Egg Harbor Township, Kristen acts as the project director for the Nita M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Center called Aspire. She also runs the recreation and enrichment programs. And in the spring of 2019, she was tasked with the oversight of the district's before and aftercare program, formerly known as Kids Club. Quickly realizing the Kids Club program was in trouble financially, Kristen, with the help and support of district administration and the board, ended the 20-plus year reign of Kids Club at Summers Inn, and in September of 2019 opened the Talents program, which stands for Talent and Learning of Next Gen Students. Kristen has focused on program quality, building staff capacity, and providing fun. Kristen is proud to say that for the first time in many, many years, the district's before and after program is self-sustaining. Now, it's not written down here, but she took the deficits that the before and after care program had in their budgets, and she turned it completely around. So that program that is not sustained by federal funds is no longer in financial trouble due to Kristen's tenure and her hard work. Now, last but certainly not least, we have John Soss. John is the program director for the CYO in Trenton in Mercer County. And John was born and raised just outside of Trenton, New Jersey. And while attending Rowan University, he worked as a summer camp counselor at the CYO of Mercer County located in Trenton. After graduating from college with a degree in law and justice, he took a full-time position with the CYO. Now in the position of program director, he directly oversees an after-school program and summer camp while also assisting with the Head Start program in the building. He has been at the South Broad Street Center for 13 plus years and loves that playing with Lego bricks and dodgeball in the gym is an acceptable profession. He resides with his wife in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. So can I please have some virtual thumbs up as well as some virtual hand claps for all of our great panelists. They were chosen today specifically because they have pivoted during the pandemic, and they are continuing to sustain their programs by offering remote learning assistance at their centers. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to my boss and colleague, Ebony Grace, the Chief Operating Officer of NJSACC.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, awesome. Pardon my lateness. As Chief Operating Officer, I make multiple meetings at one time and don't realize that I shouldn't. But I'm so happy to see everyone today. Thank you so much to the NJSACC staff, to our panelists for participating today. This is exciting. I just have to say, and I think everyone has heard my spiel about self-care, but I'm just so happy and to see that everyone has been doing such a great job and persevering throughout this. And, this panel is a result of that. So without further ado, I'll get started. And so we have a few questions that we've sent to our panelists, and we're just going to share a little bit about our programs and about their programs rather, and then a little bit about what they've been doing and experiencing. So my first question is, can you tell everyone a little bit about your program? And Kristen, would you like to start for us? Ladies first this morning, tell us a little bit about your program.
Sure. First, let me just say good morning to everyone and thank you, NJSACC, for asking me to share my experiences and successes, and I may even share some of my downfalls. Again, my name is Kristen Boyd. I'm the Director of Extended Enrichment for K through 5 for the Township School District. Our district has about 7,000 plus students in it, pre-K through 12, and I oversee those two programs that Tanisha discussed. I think the programs that I run, one is a 21st Century funded program. It is only for 4th and 5th graders. And we have a level of service. Our goal each year is 205 students that attend the program at a minimum of 30 days or more. Then I also oversee the Talents program, which is fairly new, but it's our before and after. It's a fee for service program. And we've pivoted to a full day, 10.5-hour program to provide virtual learning assistance. And that is for kindergarten through 5th grade. There is on the 4th and 5th grade level, a lot of overlap of student participants in the two programs, which I can expand on a little bit later, I guess.
Great, thank you so much, Kristen. Brian, did you want to give us a little overview of your program?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Little with the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City. I want to thank NJSACC for allowing me the opportunity to share some of our programs and information and how we were able to transition to full day operations, offering school day programming to our students and residents here in Atlantic City. And I am the Chief Strategy Officer here at the Boys and Girls Club, along with being the 21st Century Program Director for our after school program. Our level of service for that is 180 students that we're required to serve for 30 days between September and the end of the year through December 31st. That is my role with the 21st Century program. As the strategy officer here at the club, it's my responsibility to work with our CEO and formalizing strategies, programs, operations around the 3 centers that we have here in the city. So again, I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to sharing some information and insight into what we're doing here on a daily basis. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Brian. And John, certainly last but not least, would you like to share a little bit about the program? And I love that playing games and kicking the ball around, it should be a full-time job, absolutely.
Well, my mom is a retired high school gym teacher, so she always wanted me to go that route. So she can't really complain because she played dodgeball her entire career. At least I have some paperwork I have to do too.
That's awesome.
My name is John. I do want to say I agreed to do this panel because I remember back in maybe April or May, or maybe even later, we had the Boys and Girls Club in Trenton. I think it was them who Reggie Coleman came on and did a similar session as to this. And I remember sitting in my basement listening to it thinking, this is never going to work. I don't know how we can ever open up. And we've been open since September and it feels pretty normal. So anyone that's not open, we'll try to give you the best advice we can, but just know it is possible. So my boss would be very upset if I didn't tell you about the history of our building, the CYO in Trenton. It's an old RKO movie theater. It's actually this year, it's 100 years old. So it's a very big building. Normally we'd have about 100 kids in our after school program. Right now we have 33 in our program for the extended day. Starts at 7:30, goes until 5:30. We serve kids from the Trenton district, Hamilton. There's about 3 or 4 different charter schools involved. But yeah, we've been helping them complete their virtual lessons. We have 6 Avid preschool classrooms. They've been doing virtual, so the teachers are on their side of the building. So it's interesting because on my end, I'm dealing with the students who are meeting with their teachers virtually. And on the other side of the building, we have the teachers virtually meeting with their students. So it kind of helps keep everything in perspective to try to balance everything out.
Great. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. So our first question today is, what is the need in your particular community? How did you come about making the decision to offer remote learning assistance? And Brian, do you mind getting started?
No, not at all. For us, generally, We offer the full day operations during the summertime. And over the years, the extended program has been a conversation that we have annually in terms of opening our doors during the school day hours for daycare. It's been something that we've constantly had conversations around over the years, knowing that it would take additional funding and some other resources to make that a success. With everything that happened in the pause for us on March 16th of 2020, and having the transition from an after school program and figure out what we were going to do to continue to serve our after school program students, we knew that this was a perfect opportunity for us to engage or at least pursue some of the things we've been discussing over the years in terms of an extended daytime program, because the buildings that we own or have are empty. In Atlantic City, 37% of our residents live under the poverty level. At the Boys and Girls Club, 93% of our students live under that poverty line. So for us, any opportunity that we have to continue to serve our families and students, we have a very close working relationship with most of them. And as soon as, the day that we received a call that we would be forced to suspend services at that time, the phones lit up ridiculously. And we knew it was basically our parents calling to see what opportunities that we would have at the club. So it became a no-brainer for us, considering our full day summertime program that we currently receive subsidies for, and allowing us to extend that opportunity into the fall or the school year program. So for us, it just became an opportunity to really continue to serve our families, even on a larger scale, and provide additional and more impact to the students of the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I think we get a lot of questions about parent feedback and response and need. And so I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I think a lot of this has stemmed from the needs of the parents, those that have to work and haven't stopped working. So absolutely. Kristen, did you want to add anything about your program and the need of your community?
So leading up to reopening schools, when districts, or when I should say, when the DOE released the rollback guidance, surveys were done from a district level with the community and with the school families to ask them about whether they might return to a full day school day, or were they more interested in virtual learning. And just many surveys went out to families in the district, and that included questions about before and after care. Last year, which was our first year in this new program that we had called Talents, we had 509 families unduplicated that were registered with us. So we knew that there was a need, but didn't know what the feeling was in light of a global pandemic. But by the district and the administration, including the program in its questions to families, we were able to get a lot of data and a lot of feedback in terms of who would be using it, who needed it. So that helped. But I think just the support of district administration, the superintendent, the assistant superintendents, the business administration, the business administrator, the board, really just made the decision to open Talents on a full day, for a full day program, 10.5 hours. We're open from 7 a.m. to 5:30. It made that decision easy. What wasn't easy was figuring out how we were going to do it, how we were going to keep everyone safe, and how we were going to staff it. Those were the main things that we had to focus on, to get us open and in a safe way. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's of utmost concern right now, right? As you said, in lieu of a global pandemic, absolutely being safe is paramount. And John, did you want to tell us a little bit about the needs of your community?
Yeah, before the shutdown, we'd have about 100 kids in our after school program. So there was definitely that need, and we've always had a waiting list. If we had an opening, we didn't have to advertise much, because you would just go out to our waiting list and fill it up pretty quickly. We did close for summer camp. We didn't have our usual 170, 180 kids. And that was really depressing. I mean, this building gets so loud with so many kids in it. And I was working in it through the summer and there was just nothing here. And that was sad. So, I think everyone on this call, you get into this industry because you want to help, you want to give back. If you want to be rich, I would suggest going a different route. But you felt that absence of helping people. We did a food drive with the local organization and a book drive at one point, and something with the census. And we finally had some people coming by, and it just felt so good to help people again. So there really wasn't much discussion in terms of reopening with the school year. It was kind of, we knew we had to. We've been such a big part of the community to stay closed for too long. We knew we had to help out some way. And then also, I mean, it's a business. We needed to make money. We didn't know how long this is going to stretch out. So we figured let's start small and see what we could do. But yeah, we didn't know how long this would stretch out. So we figured we'd dip our toe in it and open up in September and see if we could do it. And so far we're doing it.
And that's awesome. I'm so glad that you all are able to do it. And it's such a big part of who I think we all are as caretakers and people that just want to help others. How when you can't, for whatever reason, you feel it. You definitely feel it. And so that physical presence of that probably big, beautiful building that now I'm really intrigued to go see, you probably felt the emptiness of not having children's voices and screams and cries and things like that from fun, not being there. So John, for our next question, I'll start with you if you're okay with that. What have been some of your program's successes with remote learning assistance?
Well, I'd say big picture, right now, we still haven't had any COVID cases. I really, you try the best you can, but I really do feel it's just a moment of when, not if. But, we've been able to follow all the protocols. And so far, we've had a few kids who were sick from apparently a bad chicken nugget. But outside of some of that, we've really been safe with that. And on a related note, we haven't had any closures in terms of staffing. I know it's a question coming up, so I'll wait till then, but that really has been our biggest issue. And, I'm going around crazy when I'm at home and I have a counselor who says, they have an obligation, they can't work, and you can't just swap people around. It's hard to bring someone else in. So the fact that we've been able to stay open every day since we started is my proudest accomplishment. And the funny part is, it's just taken for granted by the parents. It's just like, well, I'm dropping them off, do your job and I'll pick them up. They don't realize how much running around with your hair on fire trying to cover all the gaps is involved. But outside of that, I do feel like we've been getting less complaints from the teachers and the parents about getting their schoolwork done. It's incredibly challenging at first to try to figure out everyone's schedule and balance all that, but I'm getting less complaints that work isn't getting done, and I'm getting more acknowledgments that they're keeping up with work and everything. So it shows we're improving, and I think the biggest indicator that sign of success is that it feels normal. I remember back in April, I just couldn't wait until Monday just became another work week. You were so scared of, you don't know what was going to happen. Now it's just, no, gotta go to work on Monday, so I crave that return to normalcy, which is still not there all the way. I got my mask, I never go far without it, but it does feel like we're back to normal. So that I think is the biggest accomplishment we've done.
Absolutely, and thank you for sharing that. And the term new normal has been driving me crazy for a while, but it really is to some degree. So I try to find a different way to say it, but it really is maybe a different kind of normal now. Brian, did you want to add a little bit about some successes that you've had with remote learning assistance?
Yeah, sure, I will. For us at the club, it's really been an opportunity and for us to provide hope, a sense of hope and security and comfort to our parents. It's been a challenge in a lot of ways for them, and uncertainty, knowing that they had things to do on their own just to put food on the table, and some of their children will be left unattended or home without opportunity to educate or be educated by their school in the right way. So for us, just being there that way and providing that hope and sense of security to our parents that their students are attending school, they're participating in class, they're being successful with their grades, just being able to really see the students be successful is our biggest success. For those parents that were very unsure how that would happen for their kids while they were at work has been our biggest and most successful accomplishment during this time.
Thank you so much. And that's a great point. Like, not only providing a safe space during this time while the parents are working, but making sure that their children are educated, because they are children and they need supervision. And so that's really important, and making sure that they still get their education, which is a huge disparity issue right now. Thank you, Brian. And Kristen, did you want to share some of your successes?
Sure. I think our biggest success was that initial kind of removing that fear and opening the doors. It's scary, especially when you take your job and the fact, okay, so somebody that works for me, her name is Desiree, and she's on this call, so she's gonna laugh. She has a little sign in her office that says, "Keep the little people alive." Aww. And really, in a pandemic, that's what we're doing. We're keeping little people alive and we're keeping staff safe, and it's so important. And initially, I would say like the first or second week, that was all I thought about was distancing and hand washing and, you know, personal hygiene and sanitation. And that was my only thing that I was really concerned about. Everything else, I said to myself, it will work itself out. But then I realized, okay, these children are more resilient than what we thought, and they're wearing their masks with no problem, and they completely understand counting the square tiles on the floor, 6 in between each student, and they got it. Within like a week, they got it. So now I could start focusing on quality of programming. So our successes really included mastering the virtual learning environment, which is new to a lot of us. Almost all of us are not educators. However, I feel like if you're a caring and nurturing adult, the other stuff can be taught. So we had some staff who were good with Google and just navigating that, and who taught the rest of us how to navigate Google Classroom and how to submit assignments, and then the other learning platforms, you know, navigating all those things. And John and Brian, I'm sure know, if you have 30 students in your program, they are on 30 different schedules. They have 30 different lunches. They have 30 different break times.
Getting a huge thumbs up from John.
Okay, so if you go above 30, at one point, you know, my highest day, I remember we had 61 students. And that's, wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And then, you know, you have to take into account all the licensing stuff too, you know, staying within ratio and distancing and groups and staff. And it's so much to be concerned about. But the teachers, the school day teachers, I think building relationships with them was key to our success, because they weren't short with us. They understood that we are the after school people, and this is not, you know, us trying to make their lives difficult, but they helped us in a lot of ways. They made it a bit easier. They were understanding. So I think building those relationships with school day teachers made it a lot better. My situation is a little bit different because I am in a school building. School nurses were working from the building, so I had access to a nurse. Food services is working in the building, so I had access to cafeteria. You know, and let me think, IT, they are right there. If I needed something, I could call on them. There was a principal in the building, a vice principal, guidance counselors, which are key because of the social emotional piece of this whole pandemic. So I had a lot of support. But I think the staff, just first and foremost, they care and they're nurturing. And that is what started the whole ball rolling of us being successful. And at first, just like John, there was some complaints like from parents saying, you know, this wasn't submitted or that wasn't done. But having one-on-one and personal conversations with moms and dads really helped them to understand that, you know, our ratio initially is 10-1, ma'am, and then it became 15-1, and them kind of being partners with us. Once I was able to explain the ins and outs of how it was working, so it really worked out good, I think. I mean, I'm proud of it.
And you should be. I mean, you all should be,
Awesome.
absolutely, because of everything that you've done. And the thing that stuck out, a few things stuck out to me, but the thing, that whole partnering with the schools, I'm sure took a whole nother level of dimension and meaning throughout the pandemic in terms of partnering with the teachers. So I'm sure that it took it to a whole nother level. So I'll open this up to the group of our panelists. What have been some of your challenges with remote learning assistance? And I'll just let anyone open up or you share some of the challenges.
Well, I can piggyback off of what Kristen said with my giant thumbs up, the scheduling. Oh my goodness. Whether it's the different applications and websites, there's Google Classroom, there's Zoom, there's Lexia, there's Zern, there's Seesaw. I've never heard of most of those things before this. So trying to figure out how to access it. And like I said in my introduction, my mom's a teacher. So if there's any other teachers on here, I don't want to start a war here, but I felt like there was a lot of unreasonable expectations of, you know, they're not getting their work done. Isn't there a counselor in the room? Yes, there is. And there's also 9 other kids in the room. So you can't hold their hand through it. Now, I understand in a classroom setting, a teacher has, you know, sometimes 20, 25 kids and they're handling them, but they have a lot more training than my staff do. And they're, you know, the kids are kind of groomed to, you know, follow instructions in a classroom setting. But when you're using our game room, which, you know, in the corner we have a ping pong table and a bumper pool game, it's not the same environment. So it's hard for a kid to, you know, just focus on schoolwork and, you know, not want to go play. And then the scheduling problem, I've had a kid sitting here for a half hour doing, you know, times tables. If he finally has a break, I want him to get up and go play with the Lego blocks or go, you know, do something active in the room. And then the other student is doing music lessons and it's too loud for them to hear. And it's sometimes just like, we're living in a society. We all should be working together. You know, like what is going on? So I think everyone kind of understands now more. The first thing I do with any teacher, of any of our students, I explain to them what our setup is. You know, just so you know, it's one student with 10 other students, one counselor. You know, I'm going to do the best we can, but I try to be very upfront with there's going to be challenges, but I need you to communicate with them with me. So it's gotten better, but I would definitely recommend early on getting that out to the parents too. You know, the parents seem much more reasonable. Because I think they realized if it wasn't for us, they'd be doing that at home. But it's tough. But we just have to keep our expectations grounded, and we can still, you know, get the kids to learn. We just gotta be reasonable about it.
Yeah, I kind of would just echo the same thing for the most part. 2 of our biggest challenges during this time were staffing and then scheduling, and then as well as understanding how to navigate all the different platforms associated with the school day, Google Classroom, Dojo, all those things that we're not accustomed to dealing with on a daily basis, and just understanding all the platforms and how to staff. And, you know, 10-1 was our ratio, but like John and Kristen said, there's 10 kids in a room and they all at some time need their own individual attention, and we weren't prepared for that. So kind of learning on the road or in action, to say the least, was a challenge for us, but you know, we got through it, and we're able to kind of move forward and continue to offer the services with some additional staffing, bring in some assistance, just to kind of be around to assist the program staff with some of the other questions that students may have, and or to take that kid that's on break out of the classroom so that they don't disturb the other kids, to allow them to go outside or go enjoy the game room or some of the other things that we have around the club, so that, you know, the other students can continue to participate in their classroom. Because like Kristen and John said, all the 10 students in the class, they all may be on different schedules. Some may be ending earlier. We thinking the school day is going till 2 o'clock, and today in today's world, some of them are done by noon. So it's kind of, learning those things along the way and being able to provide opportunities or other things for those children to do while the other kids are still in school and be able to be productive that way.
Absolutely. I mean, and then part of what we do in after school and out of school time is giving children that space to just have fun and play and not have to think. And so if they're all, they're in this schooling environment, in their regular after school environment, letting them play, letting them throw a Lego or whatever, because they need that release, just like we do. We need to get up and walk around, and we need to get up and breathe and do other things. So that's so important, especially in this environment. Kristen, did you want to add to any challenges?
I just wanted to say that I don't want to discourage anyone from taking this full day virtual assistance task on. It is like building a plane and flying it at the same time. But every day we would say, like, staff will come to me and say, oh, this is a problem. And then I would, in the moment, and I'm good at that, in the moment, coming up with a solution. And honestly, one of the biggest things, and I think most useful and most efficient things that we did, is every student sat at a 5-foot round table of their own, and we called it their island. And the goal was for them not to venture out of their island space, because then you'd be too close to someone else, right? So every student got a whiteboard on their table that the students were told, please don't write on this, it's for us. And on the whiteboard, we would write when their specials were, because every day the specials are different, or we would write on it when their lunch break was over, or we would write on it whether they had to go back in later in the afternoon for small group instruction, or whether they had homework to finish, or so. We would write little notes on these whiteboards. And that's how, even as staff change, you have staff shifts end and new staff come in later on in the afternoon. When you're open 10.5 hours, you have to have a rotating schedule. But that was how we kind of communicated with each other. And then there was also a communication, like a notebook, where we would write things down in to review, so those next people coming in were abreast of what happened earlier during the day. But the whiteboard, man, that was a game changer.
It's ingenious, those little things.
The smallest little thing, a whiteboard. And but it worked. The other thing that we did on the first day, and we had thought of this before the kids even came in for the first day, is we had a piece of paper in a plastic, little report. What are they called? They have 3 holes in them, the little plastic sleeves.
The report covers, yeah.
Okay. So a piece of paper that had a schedule with blank spaces, and it had their username and password written on it, their teacher, their grade, the school they went to, because I serve, 5 different schools. So we had that information, but the username and password, I cannot tell you how many times kindergartners and first graders will close the Chromebook and it logs them out completely. You got to log back in again. So we were logging in 10, 12 times a day for some students, and they couldn't do it themselves at first. So just having that information readily on the table, in the plastic, so it didn't get destroyed, just having that there was super helpful. So there's a lot of things that, people can do if you're considering opening a full day virtual assistance program, little things that you can do to make life easier. So I don't want to, say all the issues that we had, but there's definitely a way to do it, and to do it safely, and to still have fun, because that's what we're all used to, right? We're used to the dodgeball and the Legos and, all the other stuff, but you can do.
Absolutely. But it sounds like the key to this is a lot of organization, just really being, very, very organized, and just not for just the staff, but for the youth, because again, they're babies. So they're not going to necessarily know how to organize themselves or remember their username and password. I have to remember my username and password. Really, God forbid I lose my phone, because it'd be over. So it's about being able to manage all those things for ourselves, and then for the youth and for the staff. So thank you.
And one more small thing I would recommend is, I know we know this already working with kids, but label name tags on the power cords. I can't tell you how many kids have lost their power cords because, you know, you think it just plugs in, it stays attached to the computer, but I just had to buy one. I just labeled CYO all over it because I know that's going to go missing in about a week. But right from the start, label that and try to emphasize, you know, when your laptop goes away, the power cord goes away, because those are expensive too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And so our next question is, in what ways has this model been beneficial for your sustainability? So I skipped a question, panelists. Anybody want to talk about that? In what ways this model has been beneficial for your sustainability, particularly your financial sustainability? Go ahead, Kristen.
You know, sustainability, we automatically think dollar signs, but I think that your staff keep you sustainable. If you don't have staff, you can't open your doors. And I feel like the money comes when you focus on quality of programming and you focus on relationships with families and with kids. And when moms and dads see that you genuinely love and care on their babies when they're at work, again, during a global pandemic, I think that that is the biggest, you know, achievement, but it's also like, in a way, marketing too, because moms and dads talk to each other and they tell each other, oh, you know, little Janie goes to Talons and she absolutely loves it. She cannot wait to go. And that is, you know, helps you stay sustainable. But for us, when we ended programming on March 16th, back in the spring when the pandemic first started, excuse me, I had 43 staff. I think it was about 43. When we returned on September 8th, which was technically the first day of school, we opened fully, but school remained remote until late October. But when we opened, I had 13 staff.
Wow.
And that includes me hiring people over the summertime. I had probably 75% of the staff did not want to come back for one reason or another. Either they had underlying conditions or they had to, you know, be with their own children or grandchildren, or, you know, just the fear of working in that environment, or they were school day staff who were virtually teaching from home and therefore weren't coming into the building each day. So they weren't going to work in the before and after program if they're staying at home to work. But yeah, 13 is what we opened our doors with, and we made it work. And so I think, you know, staff and making sure staff are comfortable and that you're following all the guidelines, that you're sharing all kinds of information with them, just so they feel secure in what you're doing and why you're doing it each day, in terms of like, for example, like sanitation and that kind of thing. So I think the staffing piece leads to sustainability. And I think that just offering a quality program, a fun learning environment will, you know, help you. And then of course, there's the subsidy program. You want to be a licensed program so you can take advantage of the subsidy and take advantage of the school age tuition assistance, because that helps keep you sustainable, of course. But staffing is huge.
Thank you, Kristen. Those relationships are powerful for a lot of reasons. Absolutely. John or Brian, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll speak to that a bit. For us, you know, as a Boys and Girls Club, we're 100% grant funded operation as a nonprofit agency. So, and knowing that this type of service or program is what we do during the summertime, annually for 8 weeks at a time or 8 weeks over the summer, allowing for some of the subsidies to come in financially to allow us to do some of the other things that we would like to do, because it's not restricted funding per se. So this was a great opportunity for us, considering the Department of Human Services and Division of Family Development Between those and then Rutgers child care subsidy, which we were already receiving from some of our younger students from K to second actually, we looked and knew this was a great opportunity to serve our families and then expand our service to even and allow other families and students of the district and or outside the district to attend the program. We took advantage of that and allowed those outside families and parents to attend the Boys and Girls Club during the school day program because their parents had to go to work and they may not have been members of the club, but it was a great opportunity to receive some of the additional subsidies on an easier and more friendly scale and application process. So it just was a wonderful experience and opportunity for us to take advantage of to allow us to receive some additional funding that would be unrestricted as a grant-based operation.
Thank you, Brian. John, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, in terms of sustainability, for me, it's just you want to maintain your presence in the community. If you stay closed for too long, families find different alternatives, other ways. And then, when things come back to normal, maybe they don't return to your program. Childcare is such a high demand and such an important need. You're not too worried about it going away, but I didn't think we should stay closed for too long because people find a new normal. So, and also I think it's definitely built my confidence. I feel like if we could weather a pandemic, I'm hoping that this is the worst I'll ever experience in my career, and knowing that whatever else comes up, I'll just keep telling myself, well, we survived the pandemic, so I can survive a power outage, or something like that. So I feel very sustainable now.
Absolutely. And way to find a silver lining. Absolutely. I think all of us can say that to some degree. I survived a pandemic. So absolutely. That might be the new motto for 2021. Yeah. I survived a pandemic. Absolutely. And it's a dynamic statement that can probably be applied to a lot of different situations. Thank you so much. So we talked a little bit about this, so you guys don't have to spend too much, or we could just go past it. Just how has it been with staffing? How did you find staff? How did you recruit staff? How, any challenges around in this staffing? Any challenges around staffing in this particular model?
I'll start just because for us it was a little bit different. Our after school direct service staff were primarily part-time employees. So for us, as Kristen mentioned earlier, to nowadays, it's a 10.5-hour day that we're open for operations. So making sure we're staffed adequately to service the school day and then transition for an hour, half hour in between the 2 and 3 o'clock hour to transition to the after school program. We were forced to bring on additional staff people to, and make decisions whether or not we felt this person was better during the school day because they have more of a teaching background, or you fit perfectly in our after school program because you've had success running different programs at the after school level. So it was a lot of juggling for us, especially when we took in a lot of different first time or applications to screen to be able to serve the school day program. It was a challenge for us for a little bit, but we got through it and we figured out, where people would be more successful in our program, whether it be during the school day and then either the after school program. And then we have some that are actually working both because of their experience, on both levels, the school day and or after school program. That's it. That's us in our staffing situation at the club.
I mean, and that's not much different than some staff, who may have been, let's say, teachers after school, during the school day, shouldn't be teaching the same thing after school because of that fatigue. Absolutely. So finding the right fit just throughout the pandemic. Kristen, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, staffing is not easy. Typically staff, postings go out, the district uses Indeed, it's posted, internally and externally, and people apply for the position. It is part-time, and we had a doubly hard, it's always hard to find staff for an after-school program because it's smack dab in the middle of the day, right? But now it was even worse because At the time, you know, unemployment was offering an additional $600.
Mhm.
So, you know, someone had to really, really be dedicated to apply to work with you and come on board and work with you and say, you know what, I'm not going to take that unemployment, because that was easy money, right? So if anything, as directors, we knew the people we were getting were really dedicated folks and they wanted to do well, clearly. So investing in them is, you know, our jobs. But I feel like that the staff I got love kids, which is great. But I think that in terms of finding staff, probably some of my best hires have been pre-service teachers, whether they came from, you know, Stockton University or Rowan, or, you know, they were home for the holidays, or for because their own school, college or university, wherever state they were at, was doing virtual learning. Some of my best hires, those students are eager. They cannot wait to try out different lessons and activities and things. And they really want an opportunity to hone their craft before going into a real teaching classroom situation. So those are some of the best hires that I've, you know, come across, are pre-service teachers. But then you have current school staff, paraprofessionals, and teachers that are key to programs like these because they are really our alignment to school day. They have so much knowledge about how school day is, what the curriculum is, the different platforms, the different trainings, you know, they're abreast of all that stuff. So having those types of people working in programs like these are really what keep us alive and help us to survive, because they have insider information, which is helpful. So, but finding staff is not easy. It's not easy at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. John, did you want to really
Yeah,
quickly add something?
staffing definitely the hardest part. I would recommend any place that's going to be opening, you know, definitely keep enrollment low until you make sure you can keep staffing aligned with it. We started with 2 groups and then went to a third, and that third really exhausted all of my potential counselors. So my staff have always been high school, college kids, you know, a couple adults or maybe a teacher, but it's mostly kids who have aged through the program and stayed in the area. So it's nice because, like Kristen was saying, they love the program so much, they want to keep coming back, so they like being here. But it's definitely challenging, and I have never been more proud of my staff than this year. I told them as soon as we're allowed to have people over, I'm having a party at my house, and I'm just gonna shower them in pizza
Absolutely.
and soda and
Yeah,
everything. Because they're all college kids and they have finals they're doing and they're working second jobs, and you know it's not easy dealing with this environment now. So staffing is hard, but the staff that you do find, you'll probably be able to keep for a long time because they really care about giving back. So it's definitely should be your priority focus, but it's doable. You can find them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I said the same thing to a staff member at NJSACC just a couple of weeks ago. Like, I have a big backyard now. We can just party out in the cold because you deserve it. Everyone deserves it. So you all are invited as well, because we definitely deserve it for all the work. So final question before we end, we have a few more minutes. What advice would you offer? And you guys have been giving lots of advice. So anything additional that you would want to offer to anyone on the provider call on the call today that in terms of putting together a program?
I would say get a team together. Don't try this on your own. And I say that jokingly, but very seriously. The stress and anxiety of, you know, these times, and I keep saying this global pandemic because when I say it, it's something we all learned about in history class when they spent like probably 10 or 15 minutes talking about the Spanish flu, right? And that was all. You never heard that term before. You may have seen it on a quiz or on a chapter test but then other than that, never until now. But get a team together, identify people that you have working with and for you that have some kind of skill set. And then the other thing I learned greatly was not to underestimate the skills that haven't necessarily risen to the top yet for staff. Some of the staff that I have working with me have such great skill that I didn't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
And this situation has brought that stuff out, which is awesome. But yeah, just working together, but identify a team and who's going to do what, come up with a plan, discuss your plan. I rarely do anything without saying to 1, 2, or 4 of the staff, hey, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
And getting their feedback on, a decision that, or, some kind of process or something like that. But, having a team of people that you can run things by is helpful. And a lot of times they will see things that you don't necessarily see, which, kind of cuts down on the chaos of it all. And then the other thing I would say is to study all the different guidelines. There's so many. You have the Department of Health, the Department of Ed, you have DCF if you're a licensed child care center. None of these things are currently aligned with each other, but if you're like me and you're a licensed program in a school building, you have to follow both, and you follow the one that's the most stringent. So, just being abreast of all those different guidelines, those entities and what they're saying, and then how you're going to, make that happen in your program, I guess is an easy way to say it.
Yeah, I'll just follow that up with just having the support of your administration, whether it be your CEO, your board of directors, any other bosses or authority that you have in your organization, making sure they're on the same page and willing to support you fully in the goal to get this accomplished, because there will be some challenges. You will experience some difficulty along the way. But knowing that you have the support of the people behind you will allow you to continue to push through, and also have a sense of flexibility. Be flexible. Things are going to change. You run into some situations that you just may not know about or haven't learned about yet along the way, but just being flexible in that way, and allowing yourself the opportunity to learn during this time was a great benefit for us. Like I say, we do the subsidy program during the summer, which is a whole lot different. Although we are receiving the subsidy, there are a whole lot more COVID-19 guidelines, regulations, so on and so forth that we have to follow through the CDC, Department of Health, and so on. So just be flexible and make sure you have the support of those that are part of your administration or your bosses, so that you are given the opportunity to succeed with what you want to do with the school day program.
Great, thank you. And John, you want to close this out?
Yeah, first I want to back up what Kristen said about getting the schedule from the students, get the teacher's email so you have access to communicate to them. That took us a couple of weeks to figure that out, so it was scrambling around and didn't know who to ask for help. But once you get the contact and the information, it's a lot easier. Also, when we made the groups, normally it's all 6-7-year-old girls in one group, all 6-7-year-old boys here, 7 to 8 girl. That's how we used to do it. Now we've spread out the kindergarten first graders because they require so much extra help. If you have them all in one group, you're never going to find anyone to work for that group because it's just too hard. So if you can kind of sprinkle them among with the older kids, like the 4th, 5th graders, they're self-sufficient. You look over their shoulder once in a while and they're doing their job. So spread that out. And then what Brian said about being flexible, the first week or two, it's a mantra I tell myself during summer camp. It's going to suck, but just get through it, because there's so much going on and it's so hard. But anything worth accomplishing what's the expression? Anything worth having is worth working hard for. When
Something like that, John.
Yeah, I feel so accomplished. And knowing we made it through 4 months of a pandemic, it was hard, but you feel so accomplished. So it's gonna be hard at the beginning, but you're gonna feel great afterwards. And then lastly, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Be realistic, be grounded. You can have all these great expectations of what you're going to do, and then kid's going to throw up from eating a bad chicken nugget, and then alarms go off and you're panicking. Is this a COVID symptom? I don't know what's going on. Just do the best you can, and it's good enough. And it sounds bad to say lower your standards, but just get your grounding and then just build off of that.
Absolutely. And John, I like that. Absolutely. Realistic and grounded. And I have to remind myself of that every day as we continue to serve you all as providers from the NJSACC perspective. So again, I can't thank you all enough for sharing, for taking time out today to share what you've done. Please give everyone, John, Kristen, and Brian, a round of applause, thumbs up, everything, because really, I want to send you guys capes in the mail along with a bottle of your favorite drink. I'll just leave it at that. So, just privately send me something, because really, I know what you all have been doing is invaluable. This conversation is invaluable to your parents, to your colleagues, to your staff. And I really, really want to say thank you to all of you and kudos, because what you're doing is beyond great, is great and wonderful. So thank you again so much. So I'm just going to turn it over to Adam. Did you guys see any questions in the chat? We can open it up if any provider has any question that's on the call today for our panelists. I don't necessarily see any questions in the chat, which is such a compliment, because that means that you all are really providing a lot of great information. Anyone have any questions? Maybe just raise your hand and you can unmute yourself, or lots of thank yous from everyone. You all were amazing. Absolutely.
I'd like to sneak in a question, Ebony.
Please, Dagmar.
It's a little bit of a tough one, and it's an issue that I've been hearing about from folks that are doing similar work to what you, Kristen, Brian, and John are doing. And I think the issue is around working with kids who have special challenges, special needs in a virtual setting. And I know in any given setting, those kids can be more challenging to work with. Those kids can have more, especially with the school day, challenges. Have you all come across that? How have you been able to respond? Just a little feedback on that would be great.
We haven't had any challenges around that at the Boys and Girls Club here in Atlantic City.
This is Kristen. And again, I'm located in a school, so I have a lot of support from guidance, child study team, the school nurse, you name it, and I have access to it. So my situation's a little bit different. However, special learning needs, we address with the teacher, asking them for feedback on how to, reach or handle a student in the program. Also communicating with the mom or the dad or the family or whoever it is that's raising the child to say, hey, what do you do at home? And just really creating like a team response to the student's needs. But as far as behavior issues, I always address them the way I always do in an after school program, is with love and care. So talking to students, having conversations with them, meeting them where they are, and just being like, I guess overly nurturing, but can you really be overly nurturing? But that's how I address, any behavior issues that may come up. And that's what I do after the issue occurs. Before there's any behavior problems, we address that with engagement. So, as long as I'm providing fun, engaging activities, something for everyone, typically there's not a lot of behavior management that has to happen. But as far as special needs in the academic field, in that realm, just utilizing, again, the parents and child study or guidance to help us with that. And then having conversations with kids about, hey, what do you need? What can I do to help make this situation better? And a lot of times they can voice that. And sometimes it just requires you might have to schedule an extra person, somebody who can, sit with that student. It's happened in my program where we have one or two that are, younger elementary that needed a little more assistance. So, that's just something I have to provide.
Yeah, we've had one particular student in our program that has been extra challenging. Fortunately, his school has gone in person for Monday through Thursdays, so he's able to go in and get the trained help that he needs in order to be. Normally it's in a smaller classroom setting, and I'll be the first to admit our classroom setting is not, calming. It's a lot of stuff going on, so it was kind of triggering him. So, but I've definitely had a lot of conversations with the parents. His teacher is phenomenal. I actually had to reach out to her principal. I just wanted to point out, when someone goes above and beyond. So she's been really great working with us, but there are added challenges now than there were before. So my biggest thing is just communication, and just be willing to admit when you're wrong and if you're overmatched and if you need help. But I kept asking for help, and I was getting it from either the parent or the teacher, and doing the best we can with it. But it definitely is it can be a challenge.
Thank you all for that input. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Did we have any other questions? Key to unmute yourselves if you have any questions. Otherwise, let's see, I can't see. Does any NJSACC staff see if we have any other questions from anyone else? Don't think we do. All right.
I haven't seen anything else in the chat, Ebony.
Okay, thank you. All right, so again, just want to say again a huge thank you to Kristen, Brian, and John for participating today, for providing the information. You guys were all wonderful. It's a great information, knowledge. I'm sure you may have some people reaching out to you for some guidance and advice, to taking your advice and asking for help and having people to support. So now I'm just going to turn it over to Lee Schaefer, who is our policy director for NJSACC, and she's going to give us a little bit of information about the latest America After 3 p.m. report. So stick around for a few more minutes. We are slated for 12:30, so this is great information to have. And I thank you again to everyone that participated today. Lee?
Thank you, Ebony, and thanks to all the presenters. It was really moving to hear the work that you guys are doing for kids and families during a really tough time for kids and families, and tough for all of us. So just thank you for the work that you're doing. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the America After 3 p.m. report, which our friends at the After School Alliance put together every few years just to give a little snapshot of what kids are doing with the out of school time hours. So I put in the chat a link. The first link is to the national level data, and then the second link is to our New Jersey data. And the Alliance actually came up with some really cool data visualization. So not right this second, but later on, feel free to click through to those links and just explore these really neat websites that the Alliance put together. So since 2004, America After 3 p.m. has provided an essential view into the state and circumstances of children and families during the out of school time hours. This year's study, America After 3 p.m., includes responses from 30,000 US families, and builds upon surveys that were conducted in 2004, 2009, and 2014. So the data has significant implications for us as a country, just as we continue to have to meet the needs of kids and families during this pandemic. So next slide, Adam. Oh, it's a little squinged up. So the big headline is that demand for after school has skyrocketed. There are 25 million kids in this country who would like to be in an after school program but don't currently have access to an after school program for a variety of reasons. And so if you took all of those kids and you stretch them around the globe, that's 25 million kids would stretch all the way around the globe. That's how many kids are really trying to access an after school program right now. Next slide. So again, unmet demand for after school has reached an all-time high since the Alliance has been conducting these surveys back to 2004. Nationally, for every child in an after-school program, there are 3 waiting to get in, with more than 7.6 million children alone and unsupervised after school. So demand has grown by 60% since 2004. And New Jersey follows the national trend. We have 650,000 kids in our state who would participate in an after-school program if it was available to them. So just like the national data, that's 3 kids who are waiting to be in a program for every 1 child who is participating. And again, that's more than 200,000 kids who are alone and unsupervised between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. Next slide. So parents love after school programs. This is an all-time high for this question, parent satisfaction with the after school program that their child attends. 94% of parents are satisfied. And just drilling into the state level data, 85% of New Jersey parents agree that the programs that their kids participate in provide important life skills like communicating and working in teams. And 78% of New Jersey parents agree that programs help children become more excited about school and interested in learning. And you guys all know this, but it's nice to see all the work that you guys do reflected in the data. So next slide. So why aren't those 650,000 kids unable to access an after-school program? So what the Alliance data is finding is that more families are struggling to afford and find an after-school program. There are lots of reasons why parents are looking for a program but aren't able to access it. 57% of parents nationally responded that programs are too expensive, but that number is actually higher here in New Jersey. 62% of New Jersey parents report that after school programs are just too expensive for their family. Other causes for folks to not be able to access a program, lack of transportation, either from the school to the program, or just the challenge of the parents picking up after their workday ends. Sorry, my cat is trying to join the conversation. And then 42% reported a lack of available programs in their area. So while there is an overall drop in access to after school opportunities for all young people, the unfortunate reality is most of these, the deeper impacts are felt by lower income households. So the number of children in lower income households in after school fell from 4.6 million in 2014 to 2.7 million in 2020. So this is a really unfortunate inequity that we're seeing from this data. And we're also seeing in the national data that 89% of high income families report that their kids participate in at least one out of school time experience, compared with 60% of families at the lowest income level. So next slide, Adam, thank you. And so just like we saw that parents love their after school program, parents show there's strong bipartisan support for state or federal funding to support after school programs, which would make them more accessible for lower income families. So an overwhelming percent, 87% of parents think that Congress should be funding after school programs. That number is actually higher amongst New Jersey parents. 89% of New Jersey parents are in support of public funding for after school. And so just to summarize, the other thing I'll just say is this report was based on surveys done pre-pandemic. So I know a lot has changed in our world, but I think this data is really helpful as we think about advocating for funding to support programs as we build back better. We all know that for those of you who are serving kids now, for those of you who will be serving a greater number of kids, maybe in the summertime or in September, we know that there are going to be learning delays, social emotional needs of these children. And so, their parents support public funding for these programs. So that's what we're working for. So that's the report. The links are available in the chat. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has about the data.
Thank you so much, Lee, for providing that information. It's so important, especially for funding and sustainability, to be able to have that data to provide support for our asks. So I don't see any questions in the chat. So again, I think that's such a compliment. You provide good information, people don't have questions.
Well, I really do recommend go click through those links because the Alliance, they did a beautiful job just with visualizations of the data and the maps, and it's very cute stuff, so don't miss it.
And just a reminder for anybody signed up through the NJSACC Flash, we have already sent a flash out regarding the America After 3 report, so look out for reminders regarding that, or check out the website and you can click through for details.
Thank you, Adam. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'll turn it over to Ty to close us out.
All right. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today for this very informative panel discussion, as well as the rollout of the America After 3 report. Thank you, Lee, for all of your work. And I want to encourage everyone to not just click through those links, but make sure that you share them too. Share them on your socials, share them on your program's website so that everyone else can see the wonderful work that you all are doing as it is reflected in the data. Adam,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I see Tamika wants to say something. I wanted to catch you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Just had a question. I didn't see the links in the chat box. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss them, or is it just me?
I'll put them again.
I'll share them again. Sorry about that, Tamika.
Yep, I got it.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I just don't see them. Oh, I see them now. Thank you.
Go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tamika. Thank you for joining us too from the department. I know I saw Chantel on here as well. Adam, can you put up the closing slides for me? So as always, NJSACC is happy to be a thought partner with you all as we do this wonderful work in the field of out of school time. Just an extra special thank you to all of the staff at NJSACC, including our fearless leader, Diane Jinko, Ebony Grace, Jess Heiberg, Adam Cruz, Lee Schaefer, Dagmar Wolchik, and Tanya Lazar. Make sure you stay connected with us at NJSACC. We have a lot of things coming up, especially in the new year in January. One of the great things that you all are going to start seeing more advertisement for, if you will be our Full Steam Ahead conference, which will be every Wednesday in the wonderful month of March. So we look forward to seeing you all again on our next call, which happens on Thursday at 10 a.m., our after school conversations call. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Ty. Thank you, everyone. That was